Do I need this to be louder, you think? You think I need it to be louder? Okay, let's give this a second shot, shall we? Hi, I'm Andrew Morgan Smith, and I want to talk to you about how you communicate your vision, your ideas, your emotions on whatever project you're working on to a composer. First, with notes and with your spotting session and whatever you're working on. So let's dive in, huh? So when you're dealing with a composer, the first thing you do is you bring them in for a spotting session, right? Which is where you go through the movie and you say, I want music in here, out here. This is the style I'm thinking about. This is the colors I'm thinking about. And that's really how I personally like to work. And I know a lot of other people like to work, where they say, oh, it's great whenever a director can say, oh, I really want to this to be angry, or this to be dark or light or happy or scary. That's a lot easier for us to translate into music than a very specific command. So something like, we want a clarinet right here. And then you write clarinet, but the director thinks that clarinet is something else. There may be another combination of instruments that you don't think about that could be great, that the composer has an idea for, and they never try it because that wasn't where their mind was, right? You don't need to be a musician, you don't need to be a virtuoso, you just need to convey what your movie needs to convey. And as the composer, their job is to take that and put it into music, right? So once you start getting music back, now it's time to give notes back, right? Give feedback. And that's difficult, especially for people who have no musical training. Oftentimes, I know a lot of directors will tell me they just don't know what to say. They don't feel like they can convey what they need to say musically. My response is always the same as with the spotting session. Say what you want for a color, an emotion, what's missing, what's not right from an emotional or subtext standpoint. Don't worry so much about, oh, well, that crescendo ends too early. You just say, well, the music is getting big and I need it to get big and come out here and not here. Or, you know, when this character says this line, it needs to get dark. I need it to go really dark, really angry, really happy, really light. Those are the things that are very informative to a composer, right? That's the stuff that we want to hear. The other thing that's very useful is to be concise and very direct in your note, right? So you may write something that says, at 01020323, I need the shift to become dark, right? That's your note. Here's the note, here's the explanation, and if you need any more explanation, we can talk about it, right? So if you feel like you need to explain that sentence, you can do that separately, right? That's very useful. It's very useful because it's almost a checklist. You just go down the list and you say, okay, I need to make this darker at this point. Go to this point, do it, and now you're done, right? Now you've made the adjustment, and I'm not having to decipher what you may want or what you may not have wanted. Temp music. That's what you're putting in your movie when you're editing to make sure you can get it approved and you can get it, make sure all the emotional moments are hitting right, make sure all the performances feel right. And I think it can be a negative and a positive thing. A lot of composers don't like it because they feel like it's adding stuff that they have to compete with, right? Whatever emotional attachment the director or editors or producers have to the music that's already there. But what I do find useful for temp music, especially if you're on a quick turnaround, is if a director is having trouble, giving you information or giving you notes, I find it useful that the director can say, oh, well, actually, I like how the temp turned at this exact moment, and I like where it went. Where it becomes dicey is you really don't want to tell a composer to copy the temp for multiple reasons, for copyright, but also just because you don't want your movie to be something else. You want your movie to be its own thing, right? You want your movie to be its own emotional thing, its own sound, its own ideas, its own theme. So that way someone's not going, so this Transformers, that's what you're going at. But it can be very useful, right? Don't hesitate to say like, well, I liked how the temp did XYZ. Try not to say, oh, I need you to do exactly what the temp is. It can just help as an emotional information, right? It helps to hear what the emotion is. If you have watched the video to this point, maybe think about checking out the You Might Be the Killer score that just released on iTunes and Apple Music and Spotify. It was a lot of fun to score. That came out this morning. See you later. Hope you come back.